Heisa, I have made another textile book. Maybe the cover will give you an idea of what's in it. Lots of flowers. Most of them are, I guess you could call, slow stitching flowers, stitched by hand. Some of them are not. This one is one of them. It's a large one, and I never actually finished it, so it turned out it was perfect to use on the cover of the book. And the back of it is this beautiful fabric. I really like this. But let's have a look inside. This is one of my favorite Liberty prints, and I just had enough to use for the inside of the book. So all the stitcheries that are in this book are made at different times and never with any sort of idea of what they were going to be made for. So some of them are smaller, some of them are bigger, some of them are the exact size of the pages here. So the ones that are smaller, I had to add stuff to make them big enough. So some of them are very sort of collagey. So this is the size of the original slow stitching piece, and I've had to add all these bits all around it. For all of the small ones, I've tried to make it look like it was supposed to be like that, but obviously it wasn't. So here's a combination of some slow stitched pieces and this one here, which is stitched on the machine. I had some trouble with my right hand, my stitching hand this year, but I wanted to do some fun flowery creations, so I stitched it on the machine. Turned out really fun, I think. So this spread here, I had to add a lot of bits because these were all quite small. So this one, well, it was a little bit bigger, but I had to trim it to fit. And this was a small one, and you can see both this one and that one was small. But I quite like how it turned out. It looks like they were meant to be together. And this poppy here, I found while I was tidying some stuff. I actually completely forgot that I had made it, but I actually needed a page to go in the book to make up the number I wanted, so that was lucky. And this is another one that's stitched on the machine, and I don't know if you can see the texture. So all these pages are quilted, and this one I started by quilting it with large zigzag stitch and straight stitches as well, and it gives a very nice texture for working on, whether you're stitching by hand or machine. And this is based on a photo I took of a magnolia flower I passed somewhere in the neighborhood. And this is inspired by some apple blossoms that I saw on a walk one day. On this page I've added some stamps as well as stitching and bits of fabric. And here there's lots of cross stitches on the fabric. And I added a bit of an old pair of jeans here that was sort of fraying. I like this texture here. And this is another machine stitched page. And I think for some of them I've used a variegated thread from Aurifil, which is really fun because you don't know what color is going to turn up where. I quite like that it's just completely random and it doesn't maybe exactly fit. So here we got like a red bit and some yellow on the blues. And then we have a little bird. Again, this was one that was small and I had to add some bits. So I took the fabric that is in the background here and used that for part of the border. And then I used the same Liberty fabric that is in the page and added to the border. Again, two small ones. This one is machine stitched, this one is stitched by hand. I had a lot of trouble figuring out how I wanted to join these two. I tried with some printed fabrics. I think some of this one, or maybe it was that one, but it just seemed too messy. So in the end I just went with white, and I think that was the right choice. It also gives a nice break because all the other pages are so busy, and then you can just rest your eyes for a little bit. And here's another machine stitched one, and I used that Aurifil thread. I really like this page. I didn't like it at first, but I do now. It's just so fun and colourful. And this is all stitched by hand, and these were two different pieces that I put together with this. Well, actually it's this big, so they were actually the same size. On this purple one, I don't know if you can see, it's very heavily stitched, especially down here. There's quite a lot of here as well, but here especially. And from a distance you can't see the detail of the stitching, but you can sort of see the texture of it. Right, so these two are both machine stitched. I really like how these fabrics here look. I'm not super keen on the background here. Maybe it's just because this is not really my kind of green, but it's okay. I can live with it. So for the quilting of this page, I actually used that same Aurifil thread. I don't know if you can see it, how it changes colors. I have to admit, I'm a little bit obsessed with it. And again, machine stitched. And here I used a lot of some large zigzag stitching, which was really fun. I used a small zigzag stitch for all of the machine applique. I suppose I could use a straight stitch, but I think the machine stitching gives it, or the zigzag stitching gives it a nice sort of vibrancy, or whatever you want to call it. And these two pages are very different, both in the colors and the way the flowers look, but I think I managed to tie them together because these fabrics here, especially that one, I've actually used that in these flowers here, and it's also in the middle here. Right, so the last one, I like the flowers. They're machine stitched as well. But again, I'm not super loving the background. It's a little bit too pale. Or maybe it's the wrong colour for these flowers. I don't know. But it's fine. You can't win them all. So that is my flower textile book. I'm really happy with the result. I'm happy that I could put all these different stitcheries together. And some of them sort of go together, some of them are a bit more contrast with each other. But I quite like that. Doesn't all have to be matchy. I think I really like this page here. It's quite simple, but it's really bold, and I like that. So for the outside of each signature, I guess you could call it, I used the same Liberty fabric as for the inside of the cover, and then on the inside of the signatures I used something that would match with the pages. To start with, I wasn't sure how to do this with the inside and the outside of the signatures, if I was going to try and match up the fabric so that it would match what was on the pages, but then it would have to match both, because of how it's constructed, both this page, but the following page, but also the other side of the signature, and then again it would have to match with this one. So in the end I gave up and just used the Liberty fabric on the outside of the signatures, and then whatever felt right on the inside. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Maybe it's inspired you to make your own textile book. It's a lot of fun, and as you can see, you can put all kinds of things in it. Old embroideries or orphan blocks that you don't know what to do with. So please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and happy stitching.